Hello, how are you doing today? This is a little tutorial of how to do a cinemagraph. It's similar to the one we saw on YouTube last week, but I thought I'd just do one myself to sort of help walk you through this. So what we're going to do is we're going to open up the Pouring Hot Water movie that I linked to on the class website, and I'm going to show you an example of how to turn that into a cinemagraph. So what you want to do is you want to go into Photoshop. And then inside Photoshop, and let me go ahead and make Photoshop so it all kind of fits in this window here, this recording window. I've got it just recording part of my screen, and I want to make sure you guys can see everything that we're recording. So let's see, make it a little tiny bit smaller this way. And I think that should be everything in Photoshop that you guys can see. Okay, so what you can do is Command O for open, or I'm sorry, on the PCs it's Control O for open. And after you've gone to the VidEasy website that I linked to from our class website and downloaded the Pouring Hot Water film, you can go ahead and open that up, Pouring Hot Water movie, and hit open. Now that should open up in the timeline view. If not, you can go up under Window and then click on Timeline to see this little timeline down here. Now what you have is your regular Photoshop, your layers over there, but now you have a timeline. If you hit your space bar, you can watch the movie playing, and the movie is, hot water being poured into this cup. Now, what you'll notice is, first of all, the picture isn't there at the beginning of the movie, so we want to wait until the picture's there. You want to click on your playback head here and drag that along with your mouse. And what we want is we want to get down here to where the mug is pouring into the coffee, and it's pretty close to the coffee. And we want to just do something right in here with this amount of time where the mug is pouring close to the coffee cup. If you wait too long, he pulls it up. He or she pulls the coffee mug up. So that's too long. So what you should do is click here and wait until your coffee mug has your picture has stabilized over the coffee mug, which to me is about here. Now, then you can click on the left end of the video, click on that with your mouse and drag it over until you hit the playback head. Now what that'll do is that'll set your end point for your video. So now that will be the beginning of your video. You can see now the picture isn't coming into the scene, it's starting out in the scene and it's pouring right over the coffee. Now, what you want to do is grab your playback head and scrub through until you see the point where he jerks it up like that. We don't want to go that far. So you probably just want to do a very small amount because he's really moving that mug around or that picture around a lot. So I'm just going to do a very small amount, like maybe from here to say here. And I'm going to, now that I've got my playhead there, I'm going to click on the end of my video footage and drag it over to the playhead. And now that's going to make my full animation, which it's not very much. Maybe I'll go a little further just because that's really not much at all. Let's see if I can drag this out a little more. Let's see if this is still acceptable. Well, yeah, I mean, the picture's going down, but this will probably still work. So anyway, get yourself a little bit of the water pouring with the picture not moving too much. Obviously, it's moving around quite a bit. Now grab down here at the bottom of your timeline and click on this little slider. This will increase the view of your playback video so you can see more of it. If you hit your space bar, you can see what's happening there. Okay. All right, so now we've got our little video. Now I also want you to notice that for some odd reason, this playback head stops a little before the end of the video, and you're going to want to pay attention to that because that's where you're going to want to do things where the playback head stops, not the actual end of the video clip here. Okay, so first thing we want to do is we want to do what he did in the tutorial, which is take this first frame here and make it look like the end frame, make it into the end frame so that they're similar. So what you're going to do is over here on the right hand side, you're going to click on video group 1 and drag that down to this little page icon, and that's going to duplicate the layer down here. Now what you want to do is grab your playback head and drag it down to the end of the clip where it stops. Then click on your second layer and drag that down so that the beginning of this clip is right where this playhead stopped. Now we can scroll over a little bit to see, that goes for a little while. But what we want to do is grab this left end of the new layer and drag it back about halfway down the existing clip. Okay, and so that's going to take the very first frame and keep it steady going from wherever we drag it to the end of this top clip. Now then we're going to go grab the right end of this bottom clip here, click on it and drag it down so it ends when the movie ends there. Okay, so what's going to happen, this is just the first frame of this down here on the second layer, and it stays for this long. So we're going to go ahead and on this top layer we're going to make it so that starting right here, the top layer starts to become transparent and becomes totally transparent by the end of where the playback head stops. Okay, so we're going to go here, we're going to open up the disclosure triangle on the first group, video group 1, and we're going to click on the stopwatch to the left of the word opacity to make an opacity keyframe, and that's going to be at 100% opacity. Then we're going to go down a little bit, we're going to click in the diamond shape over here to make another opacity keyframe, and then we're going to click on the opacity slider and take that down to 0%. Now it's important that you click on your playback head and drag it over to the right until it stops, and now you click on your little opacity keyframe, the one that's at 0, and drag it right to where that playback head stopped. Don't drag it to the end because that won't work, right? Okay, now we drag it back to the beginning, the playback head back to the beginning, and hit the space bar. Now it's not perfect. I mean, he moves that picture so much that you still see some movement in the picture. So what we want to do is now want to create a freeze frame to put on the very top layer. It'll just be the first frame of the movie, and that will exist over the entire top layer, and then through that we'll paint a little hole, we'll make a mask, and we'll paint a hole just where this liquid is being poured so we can just see that, everything else will be frozen. So what you want to do, you can go ahead and collapse this video stuff here, the disclosure triangle, go ahead and collapse that, make sure your playback head is back to the beginning, and then what you want to do is just click off of everything, click down here in the gray area so nothing is selected, and then hold down the control key, then option, then shift, and then the letter E. So control, option, and shift plus the letter E as in everything. And that will make a new layer on the top, which is a freeze frame of the first frame of this previous top layer, which is now layer 2. Now you can scroll over a bit. Oh my God, that's that's probably as big as the whole movie. So you can click on this little slider, make your movie smaller, grab the right end of this and drag it down until it ends when the movie ends, and then click on this little view slider again to make it bigger so we can see everything. Okay, so now you can grab your playback head. You see nothing's happening because we got that freeze frame at the top. Okay, so let's scroll back to the beginning of the movie. Let's click on our magnifying glass and zoom in on just the pour here, the stream of the liquid. Now on this top layer we're going to make a layer mask, so we'll come over here down to the bottom of our layers palette, and to the right of the FX we're going to click on this little layer mask icon. It looks like a piece of paper with a hole in it. Click on that, you'll get this little layer mask adding there. And then over here in the lower left corner you want to make sure black is your foreground color. You can click on the X and D keys. Well, it looks like just the X key is working for me. Oh, I guess D is working too. X brings, let's see, X brings black to the front, D brings white to the front. You want to make X, you want to click X until the black is at the front there. Now you can go ahead and click on your tool brush tool or hit the letter B for brush. And then you want to change the size of your brush by hitting the bracket key to the right of the letter P will make your brush smaller, and the bracket key to the right of that, the right bracket, will make it bigger. So get a brush size that will allow you to brush over this liquid, but not too big. Now in order to see the masking that I'm doing, I'm going to go over here to my delete key, and I'm going to hit the slash, the backward slash underneath the delete key, and then I'm going to click my paintbrush. Oops, it changed it back to white, so I'm going to hit my X to make sure that black is the foreground color. That's what I want. And now I'm going to start painting with my paintbrush, and I'm going to reduce the size of my paintbrush when I need to get these little bits of liquid down here. And I don't want to get the picture because the picture moves all over the place. So I just want to get that little stream of liquid right there. Okay. So now I can hit the slash key underneath my delete key again to hide that red stuff, which is the mask, basically the hole I punched in this top still frame. And then I can hit my space bar to see the stuff move, right? Now, we also have to remember to hit our loop key. So let's go up here under this little sprocket, click on that, and click loop playback. And then you can click on it again to close it. Drag this back to the beginning and hit your play button. So my stream looks pretty good, except there's a little piece here that I could add in. So I'm going to stop it, take it back to the beginning. I'm going to go ahead and hit on my slash again so that I see my red mask. I'm going to make my paintbrush even smaller, and I'm going to go up here and just paint this little guy here. I think that looks pretty good. Okay, now I'm going to hit my slash key under the delete key again, hit my space bar, and now we've got that looping movement, right? Okay, so now we'll grab this, drag it back to the beginning. We can zoom out, holding down the control key and hitting the minus. Until you zoom out, you can preview it again if you want. There's your little looping playback, right? Okay, now we can export this bad boy. So I'm going to go, oops, let's see, we'll go File. Got to go down here to Photoshop. Okay, so now we'll go File, Export, Save for Web. We're going to save this as a GIF, so click on your drop-down menu here and change it to a GIF image. Then we're going to hit Save. And on the desktop, I've already done this once, so I'm going to call this Pouring Hot Water GIF 2. And I'm just going to hit my Save button. So it's going to go ahead and save that as an animated GIF. Then if you want to view that, you can go to your browser, and in your browser you can just go, I believe we can just, let me do this real quick. Command O or File Open on your browser, and then you go find Pouring Hot Water GIF 2 is what I called it. And there it is. Well, there it was, but it didn't loop properly. So, I think I forgot when we exported it to click the loop function there. Let's see. Okay, we've got loop playback. So let's try exporting it again. Let's see. Export. Save for web. Okay, animation, let's see, looping options once. This is where I screwed up, so we want to go forever. Let's do that. We'll save this again. This time we'll call it 3. And we'll hit save. Let it do its savey thing. Come here. Command O for open. Hot water 3. And there it is, a lovely looping hot water cinemagraph. So that's just an example of how it works. You can always just do this one and turn that in, upload it to your Google Drive, or you could try and find a video that's got something a little different going on. Make sure that the camera is stationary. You can't have footage where the camera is moving around because that just won't work. Make sure the camera is stationary in whatever footage you use, and then you just want to obviously isolate one item that's moving and turn that into your cinemagraph. Okay, and that's it.